if you're not able to stop thinking about that person that rejected you, even if it was like subtle rejection and not outright rejection, but made it clear that they're not interested or gave you mixed signals in some way, and well, overall made you feel like they don't want to be with you, then you're in the right place because I'm going to explain why you can't get over it and why you're still obsessing over it and what to do about it. Rejection is one of the most painful human experiences, okay? Because we're hardwired to connect and be in communities and want to be accepted by our peers and, our community members. Because evolutionarily speaking, if you weren't accepted in your community and you were kicked out of the group or you were rejected, your chances of survival literally decreased, because if you're not part of a community, then maybe a tiger was going to eat you. So we, in our reptilian brain, we still have those fears and that really deep wire desire to connect and to feel like we belong. And rejection, there's studies on it, can literally feel as painful as being physically hit. So if I punch you in the face, it's just as painful as being socially rejected. And on a romantic level, it can be even deeper, right? It can be even more painful because it fundamentally says something about your worth as a person, right? And that's why you're not able to move on, because you took it personally. That's the number one mistake. You took it personally. You feel like the fact that they rejected you says something about your worth as a person. And something inside of you wants to keep proving to that person, who's just as a representation right now. That person isn't really that person. That person is a representation for you. It's a representation for someone that makes you feel like you're not good enough. And it's this deeper core belief that you already had inside yourself by the time you met this person, and they just validated that core belief that you're not good enough, and now you're chasing after them and you can't stop thinking about them and you can't move on because you feel like, I need to prove that to that person that I am good enough, because if I manage to prove to them that I'm good enough, then I'm going to start feeling like I'm good enough. I'm going to start feeling like I'm finally, accepted and lovable and good just the way I am. But this is a mental trap and it's not going to happen. Even if that person, like, close your eyes, imagine they're in front of you and they're validating you and they're telling you, you are beautiful and I like you and I love you and I want to be with you. Sure, it might feel for good for the moment, but what will happen? You'll either lose interest in them because you can finally see them beyond the wound that you feel, and beyond the trauma that they activated of not feeling good enough, which comes from childhood and has to do with your parents and not feeling good enough as a child. You've projected that on this romantic interest, that wound of not feeling good enough. Now they've become a representation for either your parents or peers in school that made you feel not good enough, and you want to prove yourself to them, right? But you are able, if they validated you, let's say, you'd be able to move on from that wound and you'd be able to see them for who they truly are, and you wouldn't like them for who they truly are because you don't want to be with a person like that, right? So if it wasn't for this wound of, wanting to prove that you're good enough, you wouldn't be interested in them because on a logical level, you don't want to be with someone like them. So it's really important to understand that even if this person validated you or anyone else validated you, because I know this isn't the first time this happens, okay? I'm sure it's not the first time you feel rejected and like you want to prove yourself to someone who doesn't want you back. I'm sure it's not the first time it happened because this wound manifests in different relationships. But it's not about the person, right? It's about your wound. And so this is really important to understand. So don't make it personal. Don't make it personal to them. So on a logical level, you have to understand that the other person rejecting you had nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing. But you might say, "Oh no, it was because I wasn't pretty enough. It was because maybe I was crazy and I said that thing, or I did that thing, or if I was more off, or if I was different, then it would be different, whatever." You have to understand that people have different preferences, based on their childhood experiences. They might prefer someone who's more soft or more dominant, or more extroverted or more introverted, or someone to tell them what to do, or someone to be very submissive. Like, people have such varied preferences, when it comes to choosing their partner, that have absolutely nothing to do with you. They might be only into brunettes or only into blondes because, I don't know, their mom was blonde or their mom was brunette. They're either looking for the same or the opposite of their mom, right? So them not being interested romantically in you has absolutely nothing to do with you. And also, if you're going to tell me, "Oh, but that small thing I said ruined everything," that's just your anxious attachment speaking. Because if someone truly likes you, one small thing you say is not going to ruin everything, okay? Like, even in my current relationship, when we were dating, I remember saying something completely outlandish that maybe someone else would have um interpreted as, "Oh, okay, I don't want to see this chick anymore, she's crazy," or like whatever. But he kept, because he was really interested, my boyfriend was really interested in me, he kept dating me, and like now we've been in a relationship for years. So if someone truly likes you, if someone is truly interested, one small thing you say is not going to ruin everything, okay? So get over that. And so, again, it's not about the other person. It's not, the rejection wasn't personal at all, and you need to understand that on a logical level. And now that you have that understanding, let's move on to how to heal and how to move on. So, as I said before, the reason you're still obsessing over them and you're not able to move on is because they triggered this core wound of not feeling good enough, and you're trying to prove yourself to them. Now, what needs to happen is you need to prove yourself to yourself, and not prove yourself to yourself, but you need to validate yourself. You need to validate that part of you, which is probably, a younger version of yourself, and let them know and make them feel like they are good enough, and that this person not being interested doesn't say anything about your intrinsic value. So let's do a quick exercise. Close your eyes and try to scan your body and try to see where inside your body is this part of you that's feeling like, "I'm not good enough," and like, "I need to show them that I'm good enough." Scan your body. It might be in your chest, it might be in your head, it might be in your heart. Just scan your body and see where it is. And once you've found that part, see how it feels. What do they look like? What does it, look like? A certain shape? Does it have a certain feeling, a certain texture about it? And ask this part: how old are you? How old are you? Maybe they're 9 years old. Maybe they're 15 years old. Maybe they're 4 years old. But it will always be a younger version of yourself that didn't feel good enough. And I want you to, invite this part to stay in front of you, this little child, to just sit in front of you and ask them, "What do you need?" And let them tell you. Is it validation? Is it love? Is it a hug? And just give it to them. Hug them, validate them. Tell them that they are good enough just the way they are, and that you love them unconditionally, and that you love them no matter what they do. Just give them all that validation that they needed, maybe in the past, but they never got. I want you to make it impossible for them to feel like they're not good enough. Have this maternal energy, or paternal if you're a man, energy about you, and give it to them. Give them this, nurturing energy where they feel like they're accepted and loved just the way they are. Hug them, and you can physically hug your body if that feels good. You can physically touch the part of your body where this younger part of you is. And when you're ready, and by the way, you can stop this video and take as much time as you need, you can invite them to go back into your body and tell them that, you're always with them. And if they ever want to talk to you again, you can do that and you can communicate. And when you're ready, you can just come back here and open your eyes. So this was an inner child parts exercise, and it's, maybe it was a bit short, and you can take your time, you can do it again, you can journal about it now or later if you want, and write more about how you felt and everything. But essentially, the reason you don't feel good enough now as an adult is because you didn't feel good enough then, right? In your past as a child. And maybe it was your parents that were overly critical, that, didn't mirror you, that didn't make you feel accepted the way you are, only made you feel accepted if maybe you achieved something, or you were quiet, or you didn't disturb them. And you really learned that you are not good enough as a person. And it's really important to become your own parent in a way. If you're a woman, become your own mother. If you're a man, become your own father. And validate and give love and give acceptance to that younger part of you that feels like they're not good enough. That is going to be the only thing, the only and best thing that will truly help. Sure, romantic relationships where you are being validated help as well and help a lot. But if you don't do this inner work and you validate yourself, no matter how much someone else validates you and loves you, you're not gonna accept that love, and you're still not gonna feel good enough. Trust me, I've been there. Someone like telling me I love you, or I'm the best, and me not even believing them and not feeling it at all because I didn't feel like I was good enough. That I didn't validate that younger part of me. And so when you do that to yourself and you give love and validation to yourself, to that younger part, and these visualization exercises help a lot, because it's not these, you're not like looking in the mirror and telling yourself, oh, I love you, which can feel like nothing. You are going back in the past and you're giving love to this inner child. And it's easier to give love to a child, a vulnerable child that deserved all the love in the world but didn't get it, compared to maybe if you just look in the mirror. You could get there, you can get to that point, and I hope you do. But I'd say start with the inner child, and that can be incredibly healing. All right. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how this exercise went for you, how this technique went for you in the comments, and lots of love. Bye.